You're a piranha plant and boy, your life is a complete botanical tragedy. Imagine being born knowing your sole purpose in life is to lie buried in a green pipe, waiting for someone to come along and try to take a bite out of you. It's like being a telemarketer, only worse. At least they get to leave the office at the end of the day. What if this happened in your city? How would you react to discovering that you were literally born to be an annoying obstacle in other people's lives? That's exactly what you experience every day as Piranha Plant. Subscribe to the channel now and activate the bell so you don't miss future tragic stories like this. Have you ever imagined what it would be like to be born as a piranha plant? A creature condemned to live buried, waiting for an Italian plumber to run by. Let's get serious about your origin, Piranha Plant. Your story begins in 1985, when Shigeru Miyamoto and his team at Nintendo were creating Super Mario Bros. Imagine the scene, a room full of Japanese developers thinking, you know what this game needs? A plant that lives in pipes and eats plumbers. And so you were conceived, not by natural evolution or natural selection, but by a design decision that completely ignored the laws of biology. You weren't born in a rainforest like your real-life carnivorous cousins, like the Dionea muscipula. No, you sprouted straight from a green PVC pipe deep underground in the Mushroom Kingdom. Think about it for a second. What kind of soil is inside a pipe? What nutrients do you absorb? Mario's sewage? That's disgusting even by carnivorous plant standards. Biologically speaking, you're a walking scientific nightmare. Let's analyze your structure. You have a giant mouth with sharp teeth. But wait, plants don't have teeth. Teeth are calcium carbonate structures that require a circulatory system to maintain themselves. You don't even have blood. How the hell do your teeth not rot or break after thousands of bites of air? And what about that red and green coloring? In nature, carnivorous plants use vibrant colors to attract insects. But you hide, waiting for Mario to show up. What's the evolutionary point of that? It's like a predator wearing a clown suit to hunt. It draws too much attention. You should be brown or gray to blend in underground, but no, you chose to be a walking traffic light. Let's talk about your impossible photosynthesis. Every plant needs sunlight to convert CO2 into glucose through chlorophyll. But you live buried in a dark pipe 90% of the time. The only light you see is when you emerge for a few seconds to try to bite someone. It's mathematically impossible to produce enough energy to maintain your metabolism with this ridiculous amount of sunlight. Calculating your energy efficiency. If you emerge for 3 seconds every 30 seconds, that's only 10% of your light exposure. A normal plant needs at least 6 to 8 hours of sunlight daily. You're operating at 0.2% of the required energy. It's like trying to run a car on 1 drop of gas per month. Your root structure is another biological absurdity. Carnivorous plants have developed traps because they grow in nutrient-poor soils. But you don't even have a visible root system. How do you anchor yourself to the substrate? How do you absorb water? You simply exist, defying gravity and botanical logic, and that perfect mechanical movement of yours, rising and falling with timed precision, always at the same speed. In nature, carnivorous plants like Dionea close their traps in 0.3 seconds using turgor pressure, a rapid change in cellular water pressure. But your movement is constant and predictable. You have no muscles, no complex hydraulic system, yet you move like a precision German machine. Even worse, you regenerate instantly after being trampled. This completely violates the principles of plant growth. A normal plant would take weeks or months to regenerate damaged tissue. You? 5 seconds later, you're back, fresh and ready to be humiliated again. Have you ever stopped to think that your existence is an affront to science? You're basically an impossible being kept alive by the sheer willpower of Nintendo's programmers. It's like someone deciding to create a fish that flies in space without a helmet. It makes no sense at all. And most tragically, you can't even reproduce. You have no flowers, no seeds, no pollen. You're a dead evolutionary lineage, a species doomed to extinction that only exists because someone programmed you to. It's like being the last of your species. But worse, you don't even know how to create others of your kind. Your diet is also questionable. You try to eat Mario, but he's basically made of mushrooms and video game energy. What nutritional value does that have? It's like trying to eat a stuffed animal. You can chew it, but it won't sustain you biologically. Ultimately, you're a walking biological impossibility, a digital error of nature that defies everything we know about plant life. You exist because you need to for the game to work, not because you make any scientific sense. So, can you imagine what it's like to wake up every day knowing that your existence is literally impossible? Now let's delve into the absurd physics that governs your miserable existence. Piranha plant. Prepare to discover how the laws of physics systematically and cruelly conspire against you. Let's start with your impossible vertical motion. You emerge from the pipes with a constant velocity that completely defies Newton's laws. By the first law of physics, an object at rest tends to stay at rest, and an object in motion tends to stay in motion unless acted upon by an external force. But you accelerate from 0 to your maximum velocity instantly with no acceleration phase. Mathematically, this means your acceleration is infinite at the initial moment. To reach 2 meters per second in 0 seconds, you would need an infinite force acting on your mass. This would violate the principle of conservation of energy spectacularly. It's as if you were a biological perpetual motion machine, which would be revolutionary if it weren't completely impossible. And what about your chronometric precision? You ascend and descend following a precise temporal pattern, 3 seconds above water, 4 seconds below water, repeating endlessly. This suggests you have some kind of biological clock more precise than a Swiss chronometer. In nature, not even the best circadian rhythms have such mechanical precision. You're more punctual than Big Ben. Let's analyze the fluid dynamics of your emergence. As you ascend the pipe, there should be air resistance, turbulence, even an audible plop from the pressure change. But no, you emerge silently like a botanical ghost. It's as if the air simply moves aside to allow you passage, completely violating the laws of aerodynamics. Its ability to stop instantly at the top of the movement is even more absurd. By Newton's second law, F = ma, to stop from a constant velocity to 0 instantaneously, you would need an infinite deceleration force. Your plant tissues would shatter upon impact. It's like crashing a car at 60 mph into a wall and emerging unscathed. Physically impossible. And gravity? Oh, gravity seems to have a love-hate relationship with you. When you emerge, gravity magically stops pulling you down until you decide to. It's as if you can pause physics whenever you want. Einstein would be turning in his grave seeing his laws of relativity so blatantly ignored. Now let's talk about your absolutely depressing social interactions. Mario, this Italian plumber turned global celebrity, treats you as if you were less than an insect. He doesn't even consider you a living being. To him, you're just another programmed obstacle, like an animated rock. Let's statistically analyze your encounters with Mario. On average, he encounters you 15 times per level. Of those 15 times, you might bite him once if you're lucky. That's a 6.7% success rate. Any predator in the wild with that efficiency would be extinct within a generation. Lions have a 25% hunting success rate, while sharks have a 55% success rate. You're the worst predator ever. And when you manage to bite Mario, he doesn't even scream in pain. He just blinks for a few seconds as if he's been pinched by a child. Imagine how frustrating this is. You use all your strength, your sharp teeth, and his reaction is less dramatic than stepping on an ant with bare feet. Your attempts to communicate are completely ignored. You make that characteristic rom sound, trying to express yourself, but no one understands you. It's like trying to speak in a language only you know, to people who don't even know you're conscious. You could be reciting Shakespeare in Piranhas, and it would still be treated as background noise. Which city are you watching this video from? Comment below. If you were a piranha plant, how would you try to attract attention and be noticed as a sentient being? Because honestly, your current methods aren't working at all. Socially, you're at the lowest level of the Mushroom Kingdom hierarchy. Goombas can at least move and explore. Koopa Troopas have protective hooves and can retreat. You're literally planted in place, condemned to a life of subterranean solitude. It's like being that person in the office who works in the basement, whom everyone knows exists, but no one ever interacts with. You occasionally emerge in meetings, pipes, try to contribute, bite, but are systematically ignored or eliminated from the discussion. The physics of your interaction with Mario's power-ups is particularly cruel. When he picks up a fire flower, its fireballs instantly eliminate you. This means that you, a creature supposedly adapted to the humid underground environment, are extremely vulnerable to fire. It's as if you were made of papier-mâché soaked in gasoline. Thermodynamically, when a fireball hits you, you should first dehydrate, then char, and finally turn to ash. But no, you simply disappear with a digital poof, as if your molecules were erased from reality. It's a cleaner death than cremation, but infinitely more existentially terrifying. And most tragic of all, you can't even form relationships with other piranha plants. You're always isolated in different pipes with no way to communicate. It's like living in perpetual solitary confinement, where you can hear other prisoners but never see or speak to them. In the end, your existence is governed by impossible physics that make you too predictable to be effective, and by social interactions so poor that you are literally treated as part of the hostile decor. How do you deal with this cosmic loneliness, knowing that even physics conspires against your success? Your defeat is always the same: a jump, a stomp, or even worse, a fireball. Mario, this plumber-turned-national hero, eliminates you without a second thought. There's no negotiation, no second chances. You simply disappear. The symbolism is cruel. You represent all of us trapped in dead-end jobs, briefly emerging into the lives of important people only to be ignored or eliminated. You're the perfect metaphor for the invisible worker who keeps the system running while the heroes take all the credit. How about in the next video, we explore why it's awful to be born as a Goomba? Leave a comment with which Mario enemy you'd like to see suffer existentially here. Physically, when you die, your molecules simply dissolve into the air. There's no natural decomposition, no return to the ground. It's as if you never existed, except for the points Mario earns for eliminating you. Do you think the piranha plant deserved a better ending? What lesson does this teach you about how we deal with obstacles in our lives? Ultimately, being a piranha plant is a tragic existence. You're born condemned to a meaningless routine, biologically impossible, physically absurd, and socially invisible. Your only function is to be defeated by someone who doesn't even know your name. Like, share, and subscribe for more futureless births. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks!